Hey everyone, DayTraderRockStar here with you, and I am putting out a video that represents a great trading opportunity coming ahead. I'm laughing to myself because you cannot believe that I just did this video for the last hour. Went to save it, a real nice long video describing everything I wrote out and stuff. It took me about 40 minutes to record, and then the computer crashed and I lost everything. So, second time I'm going to do this as it approaches 12 midnight, and I'm not complaining anymore. I'm just a little upset. Man, I hate when that happens. Anyway, I want to try to get it past me. I brought you down enough, but I'm going to bring you up right now because what a day we had in the markets. I mean, this is Monday. You're saying, "Wow, he got a video." There's a video out here on Monday. Normally, we get the watch list and maybe a midweek video. And I said, this today, definitely want to put out an extra video because of some great setups that we're seeing in the market, and the market conditions are really whipping around. And today we actually did quite a number of scalps, intraday scalps, based off the watch list, and those worked out perfectly. I mean, it was just a great day overall, and it really, we looked at so many stocks that I wanted to go through a couple of the really good setups for the rest of the week and touch base on those, and just go over some of the techniques I use when I do the scalping, because that's more of been using that more and more in these market conditions. Now, I'm not going to go into much technicals of the market because news is still forefront, but I want to go into more of the techniques of the intraday scalping. And we're going to start off with FFIV, which was a stock that we scalped this today. And when I talk about scalping, I'm talking about on average for me 300 to 400 shares, and I look for 30 to 40 cents. And you try to want to find a stock that can represent some movement like that. You don't want to just get into like a sprint or something, look for 30 or 40 cents. You want to get into stocks that move and have potentials. And I stick to a focus list that I put out each and every week called the 10 for 1,000 watch list. Now, for those out there who might be seeing this and you're not familiar with the 10 for 1,000 watch list, that's the watch list that goes out set with stocks that are setting up for moves, high probability setups that are setting up for the week ahead. And that's the ones that I usually focus off of, and that goes out to members of the site. So, again, a lot of those stocks were covered in the watch list, and FFIV was an interesting stock where we one of the best techniques I think when you trade scalps, or what I like to do is measure the stock that I'm looking at, measure its relative strength versus the overall markets or the S&P 500, but take in consideration the overall market conditions too, and what's going out. And we saw that the FFIV pushed back up towards the highs. I saw it chopping around here, and then I all of a sudden saw the market gave me a buy signal right about here. I think it was a stochastic setup on the overall market, so we knew that if the market was going to push, this was going to push, so we got in and took this for 50 cents, and that was the FFIV. So that's one of the better techniques you could really use when you scalp during the day. Relative strength method. Another one that we took today, ESRX, and now Express Scripts was, again, that was the kick-ass trade of the week. So if you remember what the kick-ass trade of the week on the 10 for 1,000 watch list, there's always a best bet, and that best bet would be classified as the kick-ass trade of the week. Hopefully. So, the notes for this is to buy on the gap down, buy on any pullback. And it pulled back early this morning. It pulled back to a support pivot. And I picked it up right off the support pivot. It happened to be right at the lows of the day. If we go back out, a 1 minute chart, we can go all the way back down here. You can actually see we came down to that 3780 area, maybe 3779. And I just picked it up right off the trend line, right off the pivot area, which is represented on the other charts I used on the screen, 3785. And I mean, that was probably the best setup, and got 70 cents on it. Took it off, and then realized, hey, this is really the kick-ass trade of the week. And I'm not, this is great getting 70 cents on a scalp like this. But the overall pattern is just really perfect now. The stochastics are set up. This is a wedge pattern. 75% into the pattern, you usually get the breakout. So you have a high probability multiple indicator setup, lower trend line, oversold stochastics, recognizable pattern. deviation from the 20, momentum, even a candlestick, a nice little reversal candlestick. So everything looking good for ESRX going forward this week. All right, and that was one that we scalped and then got back into it because it does look good. WHR, another stock that we traded, and another stock that's looking great for this week. So again, you notice a lot of these stocks all have this similar look to it. And what I do is try to have the patience to let the stock set up and feel comfortable in your entries. You don't have to, trade every minute of this market. It's important. This market, the way it is right now is actually great for traders. And I want to give you an example here. When the market opens up and you don't know exactly, what's going on and stuff, but what you do have is your tools. You have the radio show, me on the radio actually describing the setups, but you want to be also to do this on your own, so you have the tools to recognize relative strength, show you how to do that. And the WHR was showing really good relative strength this morning as the market was selling off. WHR was just pretty much holding sideways action. Now I'm going to go on the 1 minute chart again, and we're going to go back out to that 9 o'clock area, and you can see here that sideways chop, but we are holding up. And the reality of the thing was, I'm going to do an overlay of the market. I'm going to do an overlay of the S&P. You can see the S&P, when it gapped up, then it sold off, and it sold off aggressively, and it made new lows. But this didn't make new lows when the S&P was making new lows. It held its sideways consolidation. That's what we call positive, positive divergence in that, or actually relative strength. So, so that was, just a textbook setup. And again, that's another reason I wanted to show you this, because that's the setup you want to look for. This is textbook Whirlpool, textbook relative strength setup. As the market was selling off, WHR was consolidating sideways. That way, when the market got down to a support level where you knew it was going to bounce, that bounce is going to bring this to new highs, and everything from there just ran. So again, that was a great setup, a good example. And if you look at the daily chart one more time, you can see it's still in a great wedge pattern. Stochastic's at a bullish crossover. We're going to look for some follow through tomorrow on WHR. All right, so now going into this week, going into the rest of this week, and I was trying to remember what I wrote, what I said on the previous video that got erased, but I did mention one thing, and it keeps on coming back to me. I was watching the Playboy Club today. It was a new movie on NBC. It's kind of like back in the days of the 1950s, 60s. I guess it was the 60s, and up in Chicago when they had the first Playboy Club and stuff. It was pretty interesting. Like a little murder goes on, mafia boss and stuff. But Hugh Hefner had some great quotes in that. His player who he's playing, he says, "Success comes to those." Well, I can't even remember. I'm the worst person with quotes, but there was a nice couple of success quotes, and taking advantage of the situation that's at hand, and that was the gist of it. Taking advantage of the situation at hand. That's the opportunity. Everyone gets an opportunity. It's to those who really take that opportunity. And that's what it comes down to trading. We all, especially in this day and age when there's so much talk of, it's so hard to find jobs and people unemployed and trying to get by. And, it seems like trading could be that perfect match. But, trading has its issues. And there is a learning curve of no other. We all get into it thinking that, hey, this is not that bad. But there is a learning curve. And even more than that, you have to develop your own personality to be able to trade. You have to develop your patience. You have to tame yourself. You have to tame your emotions. It's very difficult to do, and it's a hard thing. But once you're able to do that, and you have the discipline just to take your setups, these setups are high probability setups, and that's what you want. There's no better setups you're going to find. I tell you that. I'm so excited to tell you that. I want to show you setups that if these don't make money this week, then there's drastic news out there. Drastic news. But technically, these are all set up, and that's all you want. Now, the news factor always plays a part of it. But when the news isn't there, these setups can continue to set up, and then it's like a cash machine. I call it the ATM. When you follow a stock like Whirlpool or any stock, and you follow it over and over again, and eventually you get used to it, you buy it off of certain levels, and then it continues to work, and that's all you have to wait for. So simple as that. So anyway, the WHR was another scalp, and again another nice pattern, another great setup for this week. So looking for follow through on WHR. Now here's a good one. Here's an interesting one. TBT, it's the pro short shares of the Treasury 20-year Treasuries. And we had a nice little crossover today. We had a bounce off the bottom lower trend line, and a lot of talk of Treasury in a bubble. Talk of the Fed buying Treasuries. You know, there's a tug of war there, but the yields are now so low. I have to see that this is definitely Treasury going to pull back for forcing the TBT here to really pop this level. I think this is a great risk-reward trade. Love the setup. Yeah, I think we could just easily break to the top side here. Now, this again, I was over this on the show. Again, I do the show every single day from 8:30 to 4 o'clock. And you know, and today I was banging the table on the stock, banging the table, and I was saying, you know what? When you see a stock and recognize it and trade it over and over again, and we've traded this stock here, and we've traded it here, all right. And it gets its bounces, and you take each individual level, and you see its reaction, and you see how it reacted with the oversold stochastics and the channel, and you know it's actually a quality stock. And the more it gets oversold, the more chance of that bounce it's going to have, and the more people are going to be looking at it. At this point right now, I haven't seen such a great setup in a lot of stocks than I'd see in CCJ. Now CCJ is an Iranian play, and it has a lot to it has a lot riding on the nuclear industry. So any nuclear news out there, of course, would affect this stock negatively if it happened to be a bad news, you know, disaster-wise. So that's always out there. But other than that, technically, boom, rockstar play right here. Kick-ass trade of the week, number 2. I should even label it. And doubled up on it today. And I said to myself, you know, you can see the great things, you could bang the table on it, but unless you take it, it doesn't do you any good. So I had to even step up myself, and I said, this is too good to pass up, you know. So love this setup. Looks great. Like I said, bad news or, you know, bad market news, and I guess that's always the case, right? You know, so what are you going to do? ESRX was the kick-ass trade of the week, and we're going to continue to look for this one to pop higher. We already go over this one because I've done this video twice now, so I have no idea. I feel like I have deja vu. But anyway, great setup. Kick-ass trade of the week continues to be that, and a wedge pattern. I'm going to look for some follow-through on this one. ESRX, love the setup. We're looking at probably 41. It wouldn't be bad. 40-50. CCJ, ESRX. So this is the other kick, you know, again, another kick-ass trade for the week. So these setups for the rest of the week all continue to look good. Just give you an example, like the potash continues to look good. We had this as a scalp today, and you can see that the stochastics have pulled back into an oversold level. We got a beautiful reversal candlestick. We're way off the 20, 50, 200 period moving average. The spring back here is going to be effective. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. So I could easily push right back up to 48 and change. Trade back into that gap. See no reason why not. So potash actually took this as a momentum play. We saw the strength going into the close, how it was holding strength, and took it as a momentum trade for tomorrow. And it continues to look good. Now MT, ArcelorMittal, a steel company, ArcelorMittal, I think that's how you pronounce it, MT. Luxembourg Steel Company. I mean, textbook setup here. I mean, steel has been hammered. You know, of course, there's no growth. Who's building buildings these days? So again, we're dealing with this. We're dealing with a possible recession. Who's, you know, these companies, is things going to change because the chart is telling you it's going to change, or is it, you know, is it really a technical trade? Or is there going to be manipulation here? Is there going to be upgrades here? Is there going to be something that's going to take this and make some people money? Yes, I think so. Got to be in MT here. If you like it down in that 14 area, anywhere in this 14 to 16 zone, you got to love it here. So again, another kick-ass trade. Watch for this one definitely for relative strength and weakness during the morning hours. It did sell off at the market, but once we start to see strength early morning on this, because it's been such a weak stock, it's going to give us a good tell on how it's going to react. You're going to know when it's going to have one of those very bullish days. It's when the market's pulling back and it's holding at the highs. We're going to be in on a scalp. You could take a lot of different steel companies and probably trade them off of that. So that's MT. And then do we go over to ARCO? Again, like I said, I'm having a hard time because this is my second time doing this thing. ARCO. Again, oversold stochastics. This one dropped down. Recent IPO, low float, causing the erratic price movement here. And again, that was an opportunity. Even though it even took me out when we started breaking through this trend line, I said, you know what? I'll come back another day and fight this battle. Even though I'd love the stock long term, it wasn't worth the aggravation because I didn't know, didn't know where it was going to go. But it did break down, gap down, and started picking it up again. So. Got 200 shares today, and I just expect this one now. You can see the crossover in the stochastic. You can see the previous crossovers on stochastics and the moves. The 7 2-week moves, 2 weeks moves. I mean, big moves. So you got the crossover, and I think you're going to get this move right back up towards the highs. This is a cheap stock. This is a young stock, I should say. The McDonald's, it's the arches, ARCO Dorados, the golden arches of Venezuela, one of those South American companies. So great setup. Definitely want to have that on your list. It's like the Dunkin' Donuts. That stock has also been just taking off and breaking out. So DNKN, another stock I would just continue to watch run away. But not to leave the ARCO hanging. Love this setup. I think this could be one of the best trades of the year. The setup is right now. You're just getting a crossover right now. And whenever you mention that one, I got to mention my other favorite, the Brazilian foods, BRFF. And again, you can see that one has pulled back and given us a nice crossover and bouncing right back up here. So this one is, each time we come down and we kind of holding off the recent, holding off right under the 200 period moving average, we're breaking back above it. Want to see this continue just to rally back up. Once we get back up towards that 2021 area, then I think this one's going the distance. It might go the distance now. We're just getting that crossover. Let's see how it acts tomorrow. Brazilian foods. So that's about it. I'm gonna call it this because this took me another half an hour to do this video. But out of all those, the CCJ, the ESRX, the TBT, the ARCO, the MT, all looking great for this next couple weeks. All looking good. Just pay attention to your 5-minute charts now when you're going into the market tomorrow. We're going to continue with the scalps. And again, now that we continue to do your research, you have to do your research each and every night. It's important to look back at the stocks and see the movements and see what might be setting up. I'd like to take a look at Sony, which was on the watch list and held up okay, but nothing really exciting on that. The JBLU, we noticed relative strength in that one this morning, and we knew that was going to pop back up, and we're going to come out of this, and there's going to be a huge rally in the airlines. So this is going to just start ramping right up. So there's a nice cheapie for you, and I think it's a very safe stock for now because we have definitely based and got the crossover. So this continues to look great. So many good stocks. I'm going to go over them all day tomorrow. I guess we'll just have them all up once again. I haven't gotten into the coal sector. I mean, I should do another video. And by the way, the coal not getting a reversal. We're going to watch coal tomorrow too. Just remind me. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the market tomorrow. DayTradingRadio.com. It's DayTraderRockStar. Have a great night. Hopefully this thing doesn't crash. If it crashes, I'm not doing this anymore.